Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Smallman. Welcome to this week's episode of Two Guys, Three Questions. Joining me this week will be our 101 ESPN NFL analyst Tony Softli and our program director Ken Sterling. First question, Peyton Manning and the Colts have officially parted ways. Will the Colts regret this, and where will Manning end up? Tony?
You know, Father Time has jumped on Peyton's back. I think it's time for him to say he's done, and he's going to move on and try to make it with another team. But let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts. They have a new general manager. They have a new head coach. They're in the bottom lull of where they're at in their situation on moving forward with their fan base. They've got to create some excitement. Drafting Andrew Luck, I think, is going to be the key as they move forward. As far as Peyton goes, I think Miami's going to be a perfect fit. When you talk about Miami, you talk about an outdoor stadium. The average temperature there between July and January is 80 degrees. They've got the pieces in place with Brandon Marshall, the wide receiver, Reggie Bush, the running back, a solid offensive line, and a nasty defense that likes to get after the quarterback. So I think a lot of the pieces are in place. And keep in mind, with free agency going on, Peyton Manning will be able to bring in some guys like Reggie Wayne, Pierre Garçon, and several other players that want to play for him as well.
Thanks, Tony. Good take on that. Now, Kent, you've spent a lot of time in Indianapolis. What are your thoughts on this issue?
The Colts made a mistake. They should have reworked the contract with Manning. Manning's not going to get the $28 million no matter where else he goes. I think Manning would have settled for Indianapolis. You have him work there for 2 more years. Andrew Luck learns at his side, comes out a better quarterback in year 3. Manning leads the Colts. I know the Colts aren't going to be terribly competitive, but look at what the Colts were in 2010. They weren't very good anywhere else. They had basically the same roster of guys that they're going to have in 2012, and Manning led them to the playoffs. Next year, I think that they're going to see that Andrew Luck is not Peyton Manning. Manning's going to go to, I agree with Tony, I think he's going to go to Miami. He's not going to go to Washington. He's not going to want to play in December against Eli for a playoff spot. He's not going to go to New York and share headlines with Eli. They aren't competitive in that way. I think the Colts made a mistake. I think Manning winds up in Miami.
Thank you, Kent. Now let's go to question number 2. A lot has been made out of this Greg Williams BountyGate situation in the media this week. Do you really think it's that big of a deal? And what do you think his punishment should be? Let's go to Kent again.
I think Williams is going to get an 8-game rip. Roger Goodell is going to put his line. Roger Goodell has a problem, an image problem, that football is too violent. Well, of course it is. It's a violent game. That's the way football works. The bounty system casts the NFL in a different light, though. With Dave Duerson's suicide last year, and the NFL, they're going to be litigants in some lawsuits with former NFL players who have health issues, ongoing health issues, chronic health issues. I really think that the NFL and Roger Goodell, they're going to put their foot in the sand, say don't cross this line. Bounties are going to be a part of that. They're going to come down on the Saints hard.
Thanks, Kent. Now, Tony, you spent 15 years in the league. What do you think about this? Is it prevalent?
Well, you know what? The bounty program is not prevalent. I think what is the pay for performance among the players. I think they all try to push each other. Hey, $100 for an interception. If you get a knockout hit on special teams, there's $200. $500 for a touchdown in a playoff game. Those type of things go on, and it's going to be hard for them to stop that. The National Football League league office. But the bounty program, that was a little disturbing. And you know what? Greg Williams, isn't the first person or first coach to institute that program. It is an unwritten rule in the National Football League. It's probably all underground. He's just the first one to get caught. Do I think that the penalty is going to be severe? Absolutely. I think he'll be suspended for the year without pay, and then possibly a fine on top of that. So, you know, Commissioner Goodell's going to have to do something to deter this, make sure it doesn't happen in the future. And doing that, it's taking care of Greg Williams will be the issue right there.
Thanks, Tony. And finally, with the basketball season wrapping up, the Missouri KU border war is officially ending. A lot of people are whining about this. What do you think? Should these teams continue to play even though they're not in the same conference? Let's go to you, Kent.
I think they've got to continue to play. Rivalries are the lifeblood of sports. And to turn your back on a long-standing rivalry, how many of these teams played? 800? I mean, they've played forever and ever and ever, twice, 3 times a year. And it's a shame to let a rivalry like Missouri, KU, fall by the wayside just because of the financial expedience of Missouri moving to the SEC. I think it's a shame. It's a shame for the fans. It's a shame for the students. It's a shame for college basketball as a culture. They should continue to play. do a neutral site game in Kansas City. They already do one with Illinois and St. Louis. Do the KU game in Kansas City. Have some fun. Let the kids compete against their buddies right across the state line.
All right, thanks, Kent. Tony, what are your thoughts on this? Should these two teams keep playing?
You know what? It's unfortunate that the border war has to go away. I've been living in Missouri since 2006 after joining the Rams as a vice president. I've enjoyed the war itself, the rivalry that they've created. It's been awesome. You know what? But they're going to the SEC. I think for the first couple of years, the SEC will restrict them from having that type of excitement outside of their conference. But look for that to gear up again soon. 3 or 4 years down the road, I see Kansas and Missouri starting to do their thing again, and the rivalry, the border war, will continue.
Thanks so much for your time, Tony and Kent. We really appreciate it. Check us out again right here next week for another edition of Two Guys, Three Questions right here on 101sports.com.